Okay, today we'll start with the theory of philosophical jurisprudence developed by Immanuel Kant. The Immanuel Kant has developed his metaphysical method to study the law. He has developed his metaphysical method to study the jurisprudence or to study the law. Metaphysical means like a biology, like a pure sciences. The law should be studied as a pure science, and therefore he branded his theory as a metaphysical law. Means the law has its own causes and effects on the society as such, on the individual life as such, and therefore the law has to be studied in its minute details. Okay. The main points of Immanuel Kant's theory are to be studied here. According to Immanuel Kant, earlier we have seen Hugo Grotius and all the philosophical jurists said that the ethics or the legal philosophy or the legal concept shall be based on the ethics, shall be based on the legal or moral philosophy as such or ethical philosophy as such. Here Immanuel Kant has developed his separate idea, and he said that the ethics and law are not one and the same thing. Means he has differentiated between ethics and law. They are not they are of different in nature. According to him, ethics are inner point of view or inner thing, whereas a law is a external thing. Law is an external thing. Law regulates the mind of a person, whereas the law is an external thing. It regulates the action, that is the external action or human behavior, which is outsider in nature. And therefore, according to him, ethics and law are the two separate things. We cannot equate the ethics and law. Means ethics is not equal to law. Ethics is not equal to law. Earlier, we have seen that the Hugo Grotius, or according to philosophical jurist, ethics means a law or law means ethics. But here he given his dissenting opinion and said that the no ethics and laws are of two different things. Okay. Further, he said that the law is a compelling in nature, whereas ethics are not compelling in nature, they are voluntary. Ethics are voluntary in nature, whereas law is a compelling in nature. Means every compulsion which is made by the sovereign authority, which is made by the political superior authority, is a law. You can compel the observance of law, but you cannot compel the observance of ethics, and therefore this is the difference. Okay. Further, he said that the law is the sum total of conditions under which the personal wishes of man can be reconciled with the personal wishes of another man in accordance with the general will of freedom or general law of freedom. Here, the ethics regulates the personal wish or personal freedom, personal will, whereas the law regulates the general will. The law regulates the general will, and therefore every action of every individual being or a personal being shall be in consonance with the general will. Means your ethics shall be in accordance with the law and not against the law. Your ethics shall be in the form of law, means they are not against the law or they should not be against the law, so that your ethics and law shall have correlation with each other. Otherwise, they will confront with each other, they will fight with each other. Okay. Further, in his famous book, that is a critique of pure reason, in his book, critique of pure reason. Why these books are necessary? Because MCQ may come on this point, that uh, critique of pure reason, he draw a distinction between form and matter. He draw a distinction between form and matter. Now, please bear in mind why we are studying this jurisprudence or why we are studying the schools of jurisprudence, because we have to get the answer, we have to receive the answer of why the law is made and how the law is made. Now here all the jurists are trying to give their own justification, to give their own theory regarding how the law has been developed or why the law has been developed. Here, according to Immanuel Kant, why the law has been developed? To regulate the external actions of every human being, because the law is a compelling in nature and the law represents the general will. This general will is superior to personal will. The law which is compelling in nature is more binding than the voluntary actions which are derived from the ethical norms of every human being. Action is very much important than your intention, than your simply your inner will. External actions are more powerful than the inner action, and therefore the law is very important for the purpose of regulating and giving effect to general will of every individual and every society as such. Okay, I hope you are getting my point, which is developed by Immanuel Kant. Okay, now we'll move further. According to Immanuel Kant, according to Immanuel Kant, please bear in mind this is a philosophy, and therefore you may find it some kind of disinteresting, or you may find it as a very boring one. Okay, but we have to understand this point. These people have developed and dedicated their life to the study of law. According to him, that is according to the Kant, the freedom of man to act according to his will and ethical postulates are mutually correlative. Now, we have to keep in mind the earlier points, the ethics and law. Further, we are going to develop this point that the freedom of man to act according to his will. First thing, freedom of man to act. Every person has freedom to act. How he will act? According to his will. According to his will shall be reconciled, shall be mutually correlative with the ethical postulates. Now, what is meant by ethical postulate? That we'll see. Ethical postulate means the norms or standards of behavior or the etiquettes. In simple term, I will try to simplify the meaning of ethical postulate. According to Kant, the freedom of man to act according to his will, that is a personal will, and ethical postulates which are there in the society shall be mutually correlative. Mutually correlative. Mutually means every person has his own fundamental freedoms under Article 19 as well as under Article 21 as well as 14 and etc. But these freedoms are regulated by certain conditions. Every freedom is not absolute freedom, or there is no absolute right propounded in the Constitution of India also. Every right is regulated, is controlled by ethical postulates. For example, you have right to speech and expression, but you have to follow certain norms of the society. You cannot violate the fame or reputation of another person, or you cannot defame the judiciary, you cannot make a contempt of court. Means your freedoms are subject to ethical postulates or ethical norms, and therefore these both things, means the law as well as ethical postulates, are correlatives. They both are necessary. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. Now further, he said that this ethical postulate is considered as a categorical imperative, which is the basis of moral and legal theory. the categorical imperative theory, which is propounded by Immanuel Kant. These ethical postulates, is considered as a categorical imperative. Now, this categorical imperative is the word which later on derived by the Austin Hughes in his imperative theory of law. Categorical imperative, which is the basis. This is the basis of his moral and legal theory. His moral and legal theory means every legal theory as well as every moral theory of human being shall be based on the categorical imperative, or that is the ethical postulates, the norms and standards. It means that we have seen in Hugo that the law is an instrument or means of individual will, and therefore further he said that the law and natural law, the law and positive morality are correlatives in each other. They cannot be separated in a strict sense. Further, according to Immanuel Kant, the categorical imperative can be defined as a man should act in such a way that his maximum action could be made the maximum of general action. The thing which is explained to you earlier, the personal will or the personal action of every human being shall be in consonance with or shall give effect to the general will. The personal will shall not against the general will or the general action. Means your individual behavior shall not be against the society as such. If you want to be become a great person, you should not violate or you should not sacrifice the rights of other persons. That is the theory. Further, according to Immanuel Kant, he distinguished between morality from law and contended that the morality is a matter of internal motives of the individual, whereas legality is a matter of action in conformity with external standards set by the law. He has differentiated between the morals and laws, as we have studied earlier. He has differentiated between moral and legal theory. According to him, the moral theory and legal theory are totally having different spheres, because the moral theory is a matter of internal motive, is a matter of internal motive, whereas legal theory is a matter of action in conformity with external standards. It is a matter of action in conformity, means in consonance with, you cannot violate what? The standards which are set by law. Standards which are set by law. Here in morality, it is an internal motive. This morality or ethical norms are set by society as such. Set by society as such. But these motives, these morals or these ethical standards are not written in form. They are not written in form. They are implied in nature. आमच्या समाजामध्ये अशी पद्धत आहे, हे कुठे लिहिलेलं नसतं, मात्र पिढ्याने पिढ्या आपण एखादी पर्टिक्युलर नॉर्म किंवा पर्टिक्युलर मोरॅलिटी फॉलो करत असतो, त्याला आपण असं नाव दिलेलं आहे. Further, according to him, that is according to Immanuel Kant, legal theory is basically modeled on what the law ought to be. His legal theory is based on the modeled, that is what the law ought to be. What the law, that is law should be studied from its future point of view. What will be the effects of law? If the effects of law are good, if it is going to benefit the society, then that law is a good law. But if that law is going to cause demerits or disadvantage to the society as such, then that law is a bad law according to Immanuel Kant. Further, he defined the theory of law. Immanuel Kant has defined the law stating that the law is the aggregate of conditions under which the arbitrary will of the individual may be combined with that of another under a general inclusive law of freedom. Okay, means the same thing. The individual will shall be in conformity with the another thing. Then what is the law? The law states that conditions. The law is the aggregate of conditions. Law is the aggregate of conditions. Kutla conditions? The conditions on which the individual will, the conditions on which the individual's will shall be in conformity with general will. General will means how the individual will shall be in conformity with the general will. That conditions, that aggregate conditions are considered as a law according to Kant. And these conditions, these aggregate of conditions are of course set by sovereign authority or by a political superior authority. Okay, moving further, according to Kant, compulsion is an essential element of law, and the right is nothing but a power to compel. Compulsion, compulsion is compulsion is an essential element of law. Compulsion is an essential element of law. And now you people may have sensed that these are the thoughts which have developed further the positive theory. Compulsion or the sanction. Compulsion is an essential element of law. There cannot be a law without compulsion. म्हणजे compulsion म्हणजे काय? If you go against this idea of law or of these conditions, then you have to face certain liability or certain consequences. Okay, further he said, right, right is nothing but a power to compel. Right, nothing but a power to compel. Power to compel or to do certain activity or not to do certain activity. Every government authority, every government has a right to enforce. Court has a right to enforce. Police authority has a right to enforce certain thing. Then what is meant by right? Right to means a power to compel to do or not to do a certain thing. एखादी गोष्ट करायला भाग पाडणं म्हणजेच त्याच्याकडे तो अधिकार असणं. माझ्याकडे जर फंडामेंटल राईट आहे, माझ्याकडे जर मूलभूत अधिकार आहे, तर माझ्या मूलभूत अधिकारांविषयी किंवा त्याच्या विरोधात राज्य सरकारने जाऊ नये. आणि देअरफॉर पॉवर ऑर अ राईट टू कॉन्स्टिट्युशनल रेमेडी अंडर आर्टिकल 32 as well as under article 226 has been provided or mentioned in the Indian Constitution. Okay, further he also has developed the concept of equality. Further, he has given his own notion, his own idea about the concept of equality. According to him, that is according to Kant, equality is an implied condition of freedom. Equality is an implied condition of freedom. Means without having equality, you cannot enjoy freedom. Without having equality, you cannot enjoy freedom. And equality is an implied condition of freedom. These are the conditions. Aggregate of condition means a law. But when this law gives you certain freedom, then that freedom means equality, right? For example, Article 14, equality before law and equal protection of law. Now, this equality provides implied condition that you cannot violate the rights of others, though you have freedom. But as like you have freedom, the other person, the another man also has a freedom, and therefore you both are on the same footings. Therefore there is a equality in between to human rights or to rights of an individual. Further, he said that a law to be acceptable to people in general should have within it an element of justness. Means the law will be accepted by the people when this law has an element of justness. Means if the law is unjust, then the people will not follow that law. And therefore today we see, or we witnessing the situation that many people are protesting against the farmers law or the farmers amendment act, which has been made by the recently by the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, because these people are not accepting the justness of the law. Okay, further he said that legislation could be effective only when it represents the united will of the people. Legislation is successful only when, means he provided the condition. Legislation is successful when it represents, when it, that the law shall represent the united will of the people. United will of people. Many people in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, that is particularly the Congress and other people, have boycotted the parliamentary proceedings, and therefore this law cannot be said as a united will of people, or this law will not be a successful law because this law is lacking the united will of the people. Means these are the principles of democracy, these are the principles of parliamentary democracy which are said by Immanuel Kant in 18th century. Now we are living in the 21st century, but these people have developed their ideas regarding to the democracy in 18th century or 200 years back itself. Okay, further, according to Immanuel Kant, the categorical imperative, the categorical imperative, that is the ethical postulates, categorical imperatives are principles that are good in themselves. This what is categorical imperative? Are principles which are good in themselves. They need not to become a perfect by another. Means स्वयंभू, म्हणजे categorical imperatives म्हणजेच काय, त्याला आपण म्हणतो ethical postulates. These ethical postulates are there in every human being, and therefore these ethics need not be supported, they need not to have supported by another person. They are there, and therefore further he says that it is from the categorical imperative that all other moral obligations are generated. From these categorical imperatives, all other moral obligations, all other moral obligations, all other moral obligations are generated or derived from. आपली जी काही नैतिकता आहे किंवा सत्सक बुद्धी आहे किंवा एथिक्स जे आहे त्यापासून बाकीचे सगळे लॉ तयार झाले. तर तो माणसाने ठरवलंय की मी लॉ फॉलो करणार नाही, तर त्याला इतर कुठलीही गोष्ट कंपेल करू शकत नाही. Why the law is successful? Because people consider themselves as a binding by the law. If the people themselves have thrown the law, then no other person, no other authority could make that law binding. Okay. Further, he has written another book. The Kant has written another book, Metaphysical Element of Justice. Metaphysical Elements of Justice means just why, how the justice becomes the justice? Because of existence of certain metaphysical substances or metaphysical contents. According to him, justice cannot be defined empirically, means you cannot define the justice in a mathematical calculations, but he believed that to follow the law is to be just. He believed that to follow the law is to be just. Means when the law is just, when the law is just, then definitely all people will follow. If for example the present farmers bill, तर लोकांना वाटलं की हे अयोग्य आहे, हे अनजस्ट आहे, तर डेफिनेटली लोक ते लॉ फॉलो करणार नाही. जसं कोल्हापूरमध्ये, सांगलीमध्ये, साताऱ्यामध्ये विश्वास नांगरे पाटलांनी सांगितलं सगळ्यांनी हेल्मेट घाला. लोकांना वाटलं हा अनजस्ट लॉ आहे, कोणीच तो फॉलो केला नाही. किंवा आताच्या सरकारने काढलेले अनेक असे जी आर आहेत. फॉर एक्झाम्पल तुम्ही कारमधून प्रवास करत असाल तर तुम्हाला ई पास लागेल, मात्र बसमधून प्रवास करत असेल तर ई पास लागणार नाही, असा एक जी आर काढला. अनेक लोकांनी त्याला प्रोटेस्ट केला की कारमधून जर आम्ही जात असू तर त्याला कसं काय ई पास लागू शकतो, आम्ही सगळे घरचेच आहेत. अनजस्ट लॉ, आणि म्हणून तो लॉ बदलण्यात आला. म्हणजे इफ द लॉ इज अनजस्ट, ऑटोमॅटिकली पीपल विल थ्रो आउट दिस लॉ, अँड देअरफॉर अकॉर्डिंग टू हिम justice is a relative concept. Justice is a relative concept, means it is depending upon the different components, like the conditions, that is social, economic or political conditions, place, in which place it is, social values, what are the social values of that particular society, and many other such elements can be given, and therefore justice lies in whatever is lawful. Then what is justice? Justice means everything which is lawful, and what is lawful is decided by that particular society. Okay, this is the philosophical school of jurisprudence as the theory which is defined by or given by Immanuel Kant. This is a very large theory. I cannot complete it in 2 or more lectures, but it will take more time, but we cannot afford to do such time. Then further he said, what are the functions of state? According to Immanuel Kant, the functions of the state is to maintain law and order and administration of justice. These are the functions of law, means the state shall be there, or sovereign authority shall be there for the purpose of maintaining law and order and for the purpose of giving administration of justice.